Jai Swaminarayan. Let's read the 23rd verse from the second Gadhadā. It's titled Heat and Frost. Let's dive right into it. On Jyeshta Siddhi the 11th, Samvat 1878, or the 31st of May, 1822, Swami Sri Sahajanandji Maharaj was sitting in front of the mandir of Shri Vasudev Narayan in Dada Khachar's Darbar in Gadhadā. He was wearing a white case and had also covered himself with a white cotton cloth. He had also tied a white pag around his head. At that time, an assembly of munis as well as devotees from various places had gathered before him. Thereupon, Sriji Maharaj said, "Today I pondered over the nature of the mind. It appears that the mind is not separate from the jiva, the soul. That is, it is a reflection of the jiva itself, but not separate from it. I also observed that the nature of the mind is like the heat of summer and the frost of winter. Just as a person can die from heat or frost, similarly, when the mind travels towards the Vishais, the experiences of the senses, via the Indriyas, the senses, if those Vishais are full of miseries, the mind becomes hot like the heat of summer, and if those Vishais are pleasurable, then the mind becomes cold like the frost of winter. Specifically, when the mind, having indulged in those Vishais which are full of misery and having become hot like the scorching winds of summer heat, enters a person's heart, it makes the person extremely miserable and forces them to fall from the path of liberation. Such a person should be known to have died from the effects of heat. When the mind, having indulged in the pleasures of those Vishais that are full of happiness, and having become cold like frost, enters a person's heart, it makes that person complacent, thus causing them to fall from the path of liberation. They should be known to have died due to frost. However, one whose mind remains unmoved, that is, it does not become hot upon experiencing repulsive Vishais and does not become cold upon experiencing pleasurable Vishais, should be known as a Param Bhagvat Sant. Bhagvat. Let's see, that means divine. Param means supreme, supremely divine saint. Param Bhagvat Sant. But indeed, it is no small feat to cultivate one's mind in this manner. Moreover, the mind is like a child. If a child attempts to grasp a snake or touch a flame or perhaps hold an unsheathed sword, it becomes upset when it is not allowed to do so. And even if it is allowed to do so, it will hurt itself. Similarly, if the mind is not allowed to indulge in the Vishais, it becomes upset, and if it is allowed to indulge in them, it turns away from the divine, and thus becomes extremely miserable. Therefore, only one whose mind has a craving for God, and which becomes neither hot nor cold by the Vishais, should be known as a sadhu. Beautiful metaphor. Thank you very much for listening. That is the 156th discourse from Sriji Maharaj in the Vachanamrut. Jai Swaminarayan.